you mentioned company acquiring more data, right? Data was on everybody's mind. It was natural resource. It was this and that. Lots of things flying around about data. So I spoke with Jim Signer about dark data early this year. Okay, it's all the company log files and all the dark data that, hey, nobody's taking advantage of at the moment. So how do you think AI is playing the role in getting more clarity, in making better decisions there? Because I know answer to that question changes year to year and month to month, I guess. So what's the latest on that?
It definitely does change. And really the answer is the technology of machine learning has the ability to take in a vast amount of information and then find patterns and trends in that information. It doesn't matter what you're looking at. One of the areas I like to use as an example is when you get a job at a company, no matter what your role is, if it's a desk job, on day one, typically they'll bring you some big catalog and say, pick out your desk set and the tape and stapler and paperclip holder. Go ahead and pick one out from the catalog and we'll order it for you. And it cracks me up because at most of the jobs that I've had through the years, I don't use the stapler or paper clips or any of those things. It's a waste. And so when I'm talking to companies about how they should be using their data, and yeah, dark data in this case, looking at numbers of how many people are actually printing out more than one page, and of those people, are they actually stapling them? And it sounds silly, but if you realize that this can be applied on a much higher level to all aspects of your business, it actually becomes something where you go, this actually might make some sense. Because in the case of staplers, I think the numbers would show that the vast majority of people don't need a stapler on their desk. And what's more, they don't need paperclip holders and all these different things that people pick out every time someone new comes into the company. Or even if you're a temp in a lot of companies, they'll say, go ahead and pick out something. And I used to have some fun with that when I was a temp. And I'd say, okay, and see if I could get them to buy me a new desk or something, because it was mindless. There was no thinking involved. And in much the same way, you have software licensing. You have companies that are just throwing technology in their organization, and they're not looking at the data to make the decisions on whether or not that's needed. And if large companies are known for anything, they're known for waste. And this is a huge area where there's vast amounts of money that could be tapped if they were not buying staplers, as an example. Obviously, some need staplers, and I'm not against staplers or anything like that, but using the data that you have, finding out, how many people are actually using this, or does everyone need a printer on their desktop, or, what about these chairs? Are they actually helping people, or are they hurting them? Every area of business can be explored. And if you've been capturing data, and every organization does, you have ways of going through that data, exploring it, and with machine learning, you can have insights come from it that'll actually give you something that you can take action on. And the shifts that happen in companies that take advantage of their own data can be massive. And they discover new business lines. They discover areas where they can save massive amounts of money. It's vital to do that.
Yeah, where do you think we all are in AI adoption cycle, so to speak, right? Because I think the first disillusionment came, I think the first disappointments came after, right, everybody was thinking, hey, my whole world is going to change, I'm going to adapt the AI, I'm going to implement it in my processes, in my operations, right, and I'll all be golden. So where do you think the reality is right now, and who are those who are succeeding now?
AI is another one of those, those words that has a lot of weight, and people think of movies, they think of, the Terminator and Skynet and things like that. And then you also have people that they don't understand what it means, and the concept of artificial intelligence is lost on them. And that's all right. You're not born with that knowledge. You're not supposed to have it. You have to learn it. AI is not necessarily a part of digital transformation. But AI is one of the tools that if your company is transforming, you'll want to take advantage of it, because it's going to help you with insights. It's going to help you with forecasting, things like that. So in the pre-COVID world, a lot of organizations were experimenting with AI. And part of what we're hearing at the Intelligence Factory from the companies that we're engaging with is that a lot of organizations had ideas, they had plans in place for things they wanted to roll out utilizing AI and machine learning, in some cases autonomous systems, things like that. It's all in the same area. And they were looking towards this next year as an opportunity to implement. And when COVID first hit, a lot of these same organizations said, oh, we need to stop. And they tried to figure out how to handle their staff and the issues that suddenly arose. And then it's almost like everybody took a breath and then said, I guess we should still keep doing everything we were already doing with AI and machine learning. So the same organizations are jumping back on board and saying, okay, now we need to do this more than ever. And they've realized that these important projects that companies have been looking at are more vital than ever. And so that's happening with the organizations that have been looking at it. The organizations that hadn't been planning to have any sort of AI rolled out prior to COVID are starting to ask those questions now. How could it possibly benefit us? And these are, in some cases, they're small businesses where they've heard that there's some tools they might be able to use for insights. There's systems that they might be able to take advantage of. The assumption is that everything's too expensive and that it's custom made, that they have to hire some data scientists to come and build them some complex thing. But the reality is you can go on to the app stores and you can get AI driven applications that are smart and will actually help in whatever area you're looking at. So it's a question of what can the technology be done, what can be done with the technology rather in your line of business to help your customers, to help your business in your core functions. And it all kind of points back to first going through the process of a digital transformation. Before you start throwing technology at something, you want to have a use case, you want to have an understanding of it. And so you want to go through those first steps of utilizing the data you have and empowering your employees. Even if you've only got 1 or 2 employees, listen to them and learn from them, and then start looking at ideas that can come through the technology and ways you can utilize it.